I would say, yeah, displacement is the right word that you mentioned, rather than what people say that jobs are going to get lost and so on, because jobs are going to get transformed for sure. Imagine that there was an accountant in the bank many years back when there were no computers. They used to do that accounting using registers and so on, right? It's not that the accountant's job went away when computers came in, but the accountant's jobs changed, or maybe they started to do much more fancy stuff with respect to personalized banking and so on and so forth. So similarly, people who are currently in the digital world or in the tech space are going to use this equivalent of a computer which was that time, which is now all this AI, machine learning, Gen AI and so on. So those are the tools that people are going to adopt to change the way in some sense they work. One specific example that we all can relate to is what has happened with ChatGPT, right? So, okay, ChatGPT is, you can go to that website, ask questions and answer, which is okay. But now it will enable people to actually write comments automatically in Excel. Or maybe it will enable people to automatically write answers to emails, the first draft of it or so on, right? It will enable someone to write the first draft of a marketing pitch or a marketing material. So those are the kind of things that people are now going to use. So instead of me being able to create only 5 marketing pitches, I can create 50 different versions of it and then personalize it to different people and so on. So now people will use these tools. We have to figure out in my current working ecosystem, what are the new things that I can use that are coming from machine learning, AI or Gen AI and so on. What changes in my job using that is what I think going to be important. What I would say is that they have to do a lot of work because you have to go deep, because people need to know fundamentals. Abstract level understanding, knowing jargons or just knowing a few libraries and so on is very superficial because today you are talking about one programming language, tomorrow it will change to something else and so on. Until yesterday no one was talking about Gen AI. Today they are talking about Gen AI, tomorrow they'll talk about something else. But unless the fundamentals are strong and they are there, you cannot actually change to a new paradigm. So that's why going deep has to be really, really the foremost thing in your specific math behind ML, in your specific algorithms that you use and so on and so forth. So that needs to be there. But unfortunately that's not sufficient, because if you go deep, then you don't go broad, because you're too focused in your depth and then you don't understand other things. In the industry, we want people to solve problems. We don't want people who are very good at in one particular course, because at the end, the exam in the industry is not about a particular subject. The exam is that here is a business problem which you need to solve. There used to be a course in our undergraduate called as digital signal processing. So I used to love that a lot, the math behind it, and in some sense it was more intuitive to me. Like a lot of people are very fascinated with data structures. Similarly, I was fascinated with signals. So I got involved in that, and then when time came for me to choose a thesis project, I worked on a thesis project on image processing, which was again signals. And then later on, when I joined IBM Research, which was my first job, I got into signals again, which was doing speech recognition. So there was some amount of love with signals perhaps, which got translated into signal processing and then into what was called hidden Markov models and so on. I don't think we used the term machine learning that time, but over a period of time I got into like signals, which is now called as data, and then working with data to generate intelligence and so on. It was a fortunate curve, but the underlying motivation or interest was perhaps working with signals. So I won't say that here is AI and which is what I was motivated by, but I was more motivated by the kind of data that I have and what can I do with that data. It eventually led to AI perhaps. The thing is, I am an endurance athlete, which is like long distance events, run, bike and all that type. So in these endurance events, we don't focus on just doing what we had learned in practice, but the interesting thing and the fun thing comes in when you have to adapt to a particular situation that has changed. And that adaptation keeps on changing. Today I adapt in this race on one particular aspect, in the other race I have to adapt on some other aspect. So this whole, I mean, if you are training and if you are continuously participating in these, then the mindset becomes that you are not flustered when things go wrong, which is what happens a lot in the industry. See the disruptions that have happened in the industry. I mean, let's take this example of a cab company called as Meru. It was doing really well in India. It had a very good fleet and so on and so forth. It was much better preferred than the local taxis because they had a standard rate and all that type of stuff. Ola came in and disrupted that. And there are many such examples in the industry, like Kodak example is given very nicely, that they were pioneers in the photography space, but then when things came to digital, they could not move as fast to digital and so on and so forth, right? So if you are talking long distance, which means building companies for long and so on and so forth, you are going to have these disruptions every now and then. If you get flustered by those, if you cannot think how to adapt and so on, that needs to start coming in very naturally. I would say that people should put in a lot more effort than what they are putting right now. And we all can do much more than what we think we can do. I mean, you are here to set your life for the future. The more effort you put in here, it will be the rewards will be multiplied 100 times. If you put in less effort here, then the effort that is going to be needed later on is also going to be 100 times as well. I think that's what we should always remember, that at times people get overwhelmed, especially TLP folks. They are here just for a year and there are too many things and so on and so forth. I would say just do much more than what even the course is offering, because this is the time to kind of rise and shine, I would say.